how do you guys manage the nutrition element of that? And so have you guys found that when you started wrapping up kind of the ins and outs from a nutrition perspective, that you were maybe recovering or performing a bit better? And what did that look like for you, or how did that journey look like for you? So Katie, maybe I'll start with you on that front, if that's cool.
So I think I really didn't, until, like I said, I gave up and I came back to the sport. Until I came back to the sport, I really didn't appreciate the effect that nutrition can have on your performance. And I really saw it when I was away at a training camp last summer, and I was with the other, like, the athletes on the team, and just from being with them and learning from them and seeing what they do for every day, and like what they're eating, and just pre-race kind of, not rituals, but what they'd be eating. Like it's such a steep learning curve, but when you do realize the effect that it can have on your performance and on how you feel and on your sessions, like you'd never go back. Like I like the thought of me doing a session and not getting into my car and having a shake, like whey shake or whatever after a session, like, is just, it's contrary. Like I'd be so worried. Like, yeah, I'd wake up the next day and I just you feel it, like, whether it's psychological now or not, I don't know, but like there's probably an element of it too as well.
It's not.
Just the difference it makes that you're on your recovery. Like, I find recovery is massive. I mean, in the middle of a session, if you're an hour out in the water and you're like, my God, I'm going to die. And you have like that little like energy gel or whatever. And like, just the difference those little things can kind of make. And then you're eating the right things and like fueling your body for the exercise.
Because, like, an awful lot of people, like, they want to be better, but they'll be like, oh, I need to train harder, I need to spend more time at training, I need to lift heavier or whatever in the gym, instead of like, you're away from training more like time than you're at training. Like, if you look at the hours in the day. So like, I think nutrition side of things is like massively underrated. And like, I would even see with my own training group, like, we might have, say, Sunday's a really hard day for us, like, it would be longer reps and stuff like that, and people are dropping off earlier on, or they're not able, and like they don't put it down to nutrition, and it's like lack of education in sometimes. And like, for me, my nutritionist is also my physiologist, so like, he would see the exact demands that I have within a training, how I respond. So for me, it's all about fuel for the session required and different things around timing. But exactly as Katie said, like, I would always have a shake ready to go. And again, it comes back to being organized. Like, putting my spikes in my training bag is routine, but also putting the correct drinks in my training bag is absolutely routine, and I won't leave the house without them. Overall, like, you want to build that consistency, so you have to look at each day. Are you feeling right? Are you recovering right? So they all add into each other if you want each one to meet the goals of that session. And for me as well, like, it's obviously not nutrition as such, but sleep is like a massive one for me. And another massively underrated thing, like, even when I'm syncing my Fitbit in the morning, I'm like, right, that wasn't enough sleep there now. But I say last April, like 2019, I broke my foot when we were warm weather training. So the doctor said to me, like, you're going to be a minimum of 6 weeks in a boot, and you won't be able to run, you won't be able to do anything like that. So everything, like, I was like 100% on the recovery side of things, on the nutrition side of things, supplements and different things like that. And he was really surprised when I was going to see him every 2 weeks that the recovery was improving at such a high rate. And I was back running at 6 weeks, and I was out of the boot after 2 weeks. So like, again, that was a massive element to me in like promoting my recovery and getting that bone healing faster, so that I could come back for a summer of competing. So it just highlights how important the nutrition and the sleep side of things is.
Yeah, wow. That's unbelievable.
Incredible. It was all Kinetica, obviously.
Absolutely.
What's a must-have pre-training and what's a must-have post-training? You kind of covered the post-training already, but I'll go to Phil first.
So for me, post-training, like, I literally live 2 minutes from the track, but I will make sure that my shake is in my bag, that I'm not at home wasting time preparing it. So for me, a shake is every single day, no matter what the session is, whether it's gym, whether it's track. So that's always in my bag. And it's great to have, like, having that support of, say, Kinetica on board. And like, I've been an ambassador for, I'd say, 5 to 6 years now at this stage. And then pre-training, for me, there's no set thing. Again, it would be make sure that I have the right drinks if I was using the pre-food or the BCAAs. But it's just that you have the correct meal at the correct time, and meet the requirements for the session. Because again, I would be very much like, if the session isn't good enough, I'll be cracking up. So
I'd be much the same. Like after a session, obviously have the shake ready to go. I go between chocolate and vanilla. I can't decide my favorite. So yeah, I have that ready to go. And then pre-training for me is carbs, just making sure get them in.
Oh, definitely. Wow, it sounds, you girls are working hard to be as prepared as you could be. I need to be like that for my work lunch. Come on. I can't even organise myself to bring in a bloody lunchbox. Wow, that's super impressive. And then in terms of what we started doing in Kinetica is trying to like debunk myths around the sports supplement space, or the sports nutrition space. And for example, creatine is one of the ones that I would have grown up and would have had a totally different understanding of what type of athlete would take creatine, what it did for you. I mean, a real fear factor around it, to be perfectly honest. And obviously, as I'm working in the sports nutrition space, I'm learning every day. Is there any myth that has been debunked for you as you've, I suppose, progressed in the elite space and you started incorporating sports nutrition in your diet? Say, for example, at one point, would you have thought when you're younger, oh my God, I'd never take a protein shake or something because I don't want to be big and bulky? And that seems to be this awful common misconception that women tend to have around sports nutrition. Has there been anything like that for yourself?
Yeah, no, for sure. Both things you mentioned there, like I 100% perceived them as that. Creatine, even up until the last year, like I was still sure it was only for bodybuilders, like, you know. And then protein, I can remember so well being in school one day and I had my protein bar. I can't remember what it was, but I had my protein bar and I was eating it, and someone was like, "Is that a protein bar?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "What?" Like, they're like, you're literally going to swell. And I was like, you know, it's just that's literally the perception that everybody had, that like they make you blow up and turn into this big bodybuilder or whatever. But like, and I suppose that would have been the myth that I did believe up until I started in sports. And there's so many resources out there, like yourself, Kate, and like Davy's Nutrition. And once you start following them, and like I started from a young age following those, and like once you start watching them and like seeing their posts, like there's such a wealth of information.
What about yourself, Phil?
Yeah, no, totally. The whey is like the biggest one that I've heard along the way, and like everyone's like, "Oh, you're gonna get really bulky and you're gonna put on loads of weight, like if you're taking protein shakes, whatever." But it's obviously recovering in the right way. And then like people like, it comes back to lack of education, because people can go into the shop and get like a chocolate milk and is like full of sugar, and you know, like they're just not recovering the right way. So yeah, it comes to education and having all those resources on hand.